Hey guys, it's your girl Jasmine Travels and I'm back with another video for you all. In this video, I really felt like I needed to make this video because I'm going to be explaining, finally, what I actually do here in Spain. So like I told you guys, like you guys already know, I moved to Spain in October of 2020. And I never really fully explained what I did here in any of my videos, not in depth if I did mention it at all. So I'm actually going to make kind of a 3-part series to what I do here and about my job here in Spain. So welcome to part 1 of my 3-part series. And this episode shall be entitled, as you can see in the title, is what is an Auxiliar de Conversación. Basically, an Auxiliar de Conversación is a teaching assistant, to sum it all up. Basically, I am working in the classroom with other teachers and I'm just kind of reiterating everything that they go over in English. So to back it up a little bit, I work under the Ministry of Education here in Spain, and that's where you apply to have the job. You go through the Ministry of Education. If you're selected, then you become an Auxiliar de Conversación and they put you in a region in Spain where you'll be assigned to work. But that I'll go more in depth a bit later. So as a auxiliar, short, we just go by auxes or aux. That's typically what everyone in the chats call them. They call auxes. So as an aux, I basically, like I said, I'm a teaching assistant. The teachers that I work with typically do speak a bit of English, but of course, like, I'm in the classroom to be the native English speaker, so I help with pronunciation, I have conversations with the kids, I am the person that they're able to practice speaking English with. They can listen to my accent and kind of pick up on how things are supposed to be pronounced, and how to say things. They can ask me questions about words or about sayings that they've heard, and I'm able to explain these things to them because my native tongue is English. But that does take time to work up to because a lot of the kids are a little shy when there's like a new person in the room, especially if they're not used to speaking a lot of English in the first place. But also, I do other things in the classroom as well. So depending on what subject I'm in, I work with a variety of subjects. Me personally, so far, I've worked in the subjects of geography and history, physical education, math, and I think those have been my main subjects so far. But I'm going to be working in different subjects upcoming because I'm going to be switching schools. So currently I'm working in a secondary school, which is basically like middle school, high school kids, and I'll be moving to a primary school. So I have a bit more to say about that when I switch over. But basically I'm sure it's going to be the same kind of situation. So what I do in the classroom, I make activities and things like that for me to do to interact with the kids to help them practice their English, as well as just encourage them to use it a bit more. So what I like to do with the kids is if they're learning a topic in the classroom and the teacher kind of gives me the free range, I like to make games or little activities to do with them in their classroom to where they have to like raise their hands, say answers, speak out loud, as well as have like something in front of them that they have to read in English. So that way it's just kind of stimulating different forms of like practice. They get a chance to read and see the words there, and they also get to speak and hear me talking to them because I always explain the activity in front. Other teachers, they will already have things planned for me to do, which do not mind that at all. Both ways are actually really cool because some of the activities that the teachers come up with are very creative as well. And I'll actually take those activities and use them in other classes that I have with different teachers if I feel like, or I won't take it and use it, but I'll ask the teacher if I could do these activities with the students because I feel like they're very beneficial with the other class that I used it in. Like I have one math class where the teacher gave me an assignment and I feel like it was very beneficial in that class. So I'll ask the math teacher like, oh, during class, could I possibly do this activity? I did it in my other math class and it was very beneficial. Now that's just my experience. Everyone's experience is a little bit different. Some people are a little bit more lenient than others. I kind of have a bit of freedom to where if I ask the teacher, can I do a certain activity during my time in the class, they're usually, if it's on topic, they usually don't mind. And so I usually have a pretty easy time of just doing whatever activity I come up with, or if I do come up with one, they'll kind of schedule it in for the students to do, or they'll schedule it in, like if one class they already have a plan for me, they'll be like, oh, you can do it next class. So yeah, they're pretty lenient. My school is really nice. I do enjoy them. But that's typically what I do. In the physical education classes, I have to get a little bit more creative, because it's not like I can just give them all worksheets all the time. Like, kids actually want to be active in their physical education classes. So I would do different things. Like, for instance, I was teaching my classes in physical education the cha-cha slide, because if you know, that is a very popular dance in the United States, and they don't know that dance here. So I was teaching the kids the cha-cha slide, and they loved it. Like I want to say 9, they probably would rate that like a 9 out of a 10, like 4 out of 5 stars. They would rate, they had so much fun. Except I say 4 out of 5 or 9 out of 10 because there's always a couple of kids that aren't really like, they don't really want to dance, and so they're not really like too up for it in the first place. But majority of the class like had a ball learning that dance with me. Yeah, I really enjoy the kids. They're a lot of fun. So yeah, that's basically what an auxiliar is, or an aux is. It's basically just a teaching assistant, but you're teaching everything that's being taught in English. You're there to help their kids practice their English, to help them learn English, just an English helper. Even the teachers, sometimes when you're in the classrooms, they'll ask like, oh hey, how do you pronounce this word? Or am I saying this correctly? Or how would you define this better? Just because, like I said, the native English speaker, they're gonna come to you and ask you questions about like simple things like that. The downfall I would say about in the classroom is they typically teach the kids British English, because of course that's the English speaking country that's closest to here. And so when they teach English, they go off of the British English speaking rules. Now, coming from the United States, I don't typically know those rules. I actually learned a lot of them while in the classroom looking over their work. Like, they have this have got rule that they use. Like, they'll say things like, for example, I have got a pen, or I have got 2 dogs. And you don't really say that typically. You just be like, I have a pen, or I have 2 dogs, or yeah, it's a little weird to roll off the tongue. I know in some situations, my voice kind of cracked. I know in some situations that I'm pretty sure there's somewhere that you say I have got, or maybe it's just because we say like I've got, or I don't know. I usually just say I have, but yeah. And then things are called different words in British English. You wouldn't think there's that many, but I'm not sure if I said it in one of my previous videos when I lived in England. There's like, it's like a different language, but it's the same language. So they call things that we typically call one thing a different thing. So when a kid asks you like, isn't this a such and such, like erasers, they call erasers rubbers. They're like, isn't this a rubber? Or what would you call this? A rubber, right? And I was like, a rubber? I'm like, no. It's just an eraser. And in the United States, if you're from the United States, you know that a rubber, this only refers to so many things. When you say, if you ask someone, can I have a rubber? You're not gonna get an eraser. So it's different. But other than that, they're pretty open to me just teaching English to the way that, or speaking to them in English and helping them with English in the way that I know how. Now, when it comes to their textbooks, their teachers usually go over that. They have English classes, they go over all of that. But yeah, I can't really teach British English because I learned that I do not know anything about British English. It's very different. Oh, and also as an aux, they want you to teach about your culture. So like I said before, I taught the cha-cha slide in the physical education class, and that was actually like kind of a way to teach a little bit about American culture, because it's a very popular dance in America. So other things that we talk about is like when it's around Thanksgiving time, they want you to do presentations about Thanksgiving and what Thanksgiving's about and what you do with your family at Thanksgiving, because it's not celebrated in Spain. So that's something that they want you to discuss with the children, to give them a bit of history about your culture. When it comes to Christmas, they want you to talk about Christmas and how Christmas is so different, because here they have Christmas, of course, but they don't really focus so much on the Santa Claus Christmas side of things. They focus more so on the 3 Kings, which I've discussed in my vlog Vlogmas video. And also they even have us talk about Halloween. Halloween's like way more popular in the United States than it is here in Spain. So they love to see pictures and to see like the different events that people do, going trick-or-treating. They love to hear about it. So they definitely want us to talk about our culture as well. So I also do a couple of presentations throughout the year in each class just about the cultural things that are going on back in my home country. So that's pretty much everything I do. Basically, you just kind of like change what you're talking about according to your class in your class's level of English. And a lot of times the teachers will help explain things in Spanish if they don't understand what you're saying in English, because everyone's on a different level. Their English, I'm just here to help them practice. So sometimes of course they don't understand me, but yeah, we get through everything pretty fine. A lot of the kids love to try to talk to me even if they don't speak really great Spanish, which I love. It's very cute, and I love to see them like try, because with me being in this country, of course I'm trying to speak Spanish all the time. So I think it's really nice to see the kids trying to speak in English to me. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I do in a classroom. Yes, it does take some hours outside of work to prep, to have the activities ready for when you go to class, but it's just like basic little lesson planning. It's not even anything intense on our end. Now everyone's situation, like I said, is different. Different schools ask you to do different things, but for me, lesson planning just includes like making activities, and I would just make different things for the classes. And usually I can use, if I make a math activity, I can pretty much use it in whatever grade I'm working with. It's just a matter of changing the difficulty level based on what they're learning in class. So it's not like it's a very difficult thing to do. That's pretty much everything that I do. That's everything I do at work-wise in the life of an Aux. That's what I do. Just getting creative in the classroom to help the kids learn English, from songs to worksheets to games to dances, and also expressing your culture and teaching the kids a bit about your culture, because they do really enjoy hearing about the difference. They don't get to hear about the difference in culture so much when you're only seeing things from like the outside. When you have someone telling you about what they do from day to day in their own life, and they can ask personal questions and actually get to know it, then it gets a bit more interesting. So that's answering the big question: what is an Auxiliar de Conversación? That's what I am. Basically an English teaching assistant. Now, how to become one, I will break down in part 2, so make sure to stay tuned to check that out. I'm dropping videos every Saturday, so keep a lookout and subscribe, so that way you'll know exactly when I'm gonna drop that video. And if you want a notification as soon as that video comes out, just go ahead and hit that bell, the subscription notification bell. Hit that bell and you'll know exactly when I upload part 2. That's part 1 of our 3-part series. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Bye.